friends are calling you out to play. Come on, we'll make you feel right at home. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Let's see what lies in store for you. There's so many things to see and do. Summer, winter, spring or fall, you're home in the Rockies as it all. So gear up, get ready to plan your day. The ideas are brewing, you're on your way. The fun is waiting outside your door. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Hi, I'm Cece Zach, and welcome to this episode of Good Day Vail. And I am so excited for my guest today, as she truly represents what it means to be part of the Vail Valley community. She's actually a third-generation resident who is very focused in environmental studies and sustainability and climate action. Matter of fact, she holds a BS in biology as well as an MA and a PhD in environmental sciences. She's also an associate professor at CMC in sustainability studies, and is actually part of the team that created the Mountain Ideal Standard for Sustainable Destinations that actually led for Vail to be the first certified sustainable destination in the United States. If you haven't guessed who it is Kim Langmaid, who is also the town of Vail's mayor, but she's also the co-creator and founder of Walking Mountain Science Center. And you can't miss this episode because she's just such an inspiration to me and to the community, and will really help us understand about all the things that we don't know that we should know about the Vail Valley and the town of Vail. So stay tuned for this episode of Good Day Vail.
Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Hi there, and welcome back to Good Day Vail. I am delighted to have Kim Langmaid, who is the town of Vail's mayor, with us today. And as we all know, it's really important for us to understand why all these wonderful people that come to Good Day Vail actually live in Vail and what keeps them here. So Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. And maybe you could help our viewers understand why Vail. I know you've been here, your family's been here for 3 generations, but I know they'd love to hear it from your own words.
Well, my grandparents, Joe and Bunny Langmaid, moved to Vail in 1962 and built one of the first homes and opened the first ski shop at the top of Bridge Street. And
what was the name of it?
It was Vail Ski Rentals.
Okay.
Very simple.
Yeah.
It was the place where people came to rent skis and go up the mountain. And my grandfather really just wanted to be part of that community. He was a skier from back east in Massachusetts, and so was my grandmother. They just loved skiing, and they wanted to come out here and be part of the community and create that. So really just renting skis, and my grandmother had a ski boutique. So my parents moved here later on in 1969, and I grew up here, and I don't know, the mountains really have stuck with me. I grew up, kicking around on the streets of Vail and the forests and the Beaver Dam Road and all the beaver ponds, and just enjoying being outdoors, and it's really a part of who I am.
Yeah, it sure is, and I can't wait to get into all the contributions that you've given back to this town, especially from an environmental perspective. But being from the Northeast, you don't know this, but I was born and raised in Connecticut, and you just said Massachusetts. So do you mind sharing where your family is from in Massachusetts?
They're from Marblehead.
Oh, right by the ocean. If not the mountains, you got the ocean, so.
Yeah, they're outdoors people, sailing, skiing, snowboarding, all of it. Love to be outside.
So one of the things I've been really curious about as I've followed your career or been learning about your career is, what is your purpose in life? Has Kim really defined what her purpose is?
Yeah. I think early in my career, I did a lot of that sort of leadership work and thinking about what my purpose is. And I think there's 2 ways I articulate it. One of them is giving voice to place. And, thinking of how can I help give voice to those who don't have voices, whether it's people in our community who aren't being heard, or it's the other species, wildlife, that don't have a voice, and helping to bring that to the fore. And then also envisioning our flourishing ecosystems. That's how I kind of think about it, is how can we all work together to be a part of these mountain ecosystems so that they're flourishing into the future.
Well, and you talk about giving back to community and having a voice for those that may not have a voice. I mean, clearly the environment is one of those components. Help us understand your background in learning about the environment and the contributions you've made to the Vail Valley thus far.
I think it all started with my grandparents and my parents just taking me outside all the time, and growing up in Vail, and going to summer camp at the Little Vail Nature Center, and just being outside all the time. And then went to college and really knew I wanted to do something to give back and be outside and help with the environment. And I found my passion in environmental education, just working as an outdoor guide and naturalist, and seeing other people outdoors really light up when they make those connections and feel that sense of belonging in nature. And so that's where it all started for me. And then eventually I started what's now Walking Mountain Science Center, to make sure that every kid growing up in the valley has the opportunity to be outside and connect with the natural world, and grow that sense of love and appreciation and responsibility.
Well, and it's not just about the love and appreciation. I mean, as I recall, you also have an MA and a PhD in environmental science as well. So where did the drive come to continue your studies? Because having the love for place is one thing, but then having the love for the science and everything else, because that is really the core of who you are.
Yeah, I never really started out thinking I would be interested in science. In fact, I was fearful of science in the beginning. I started college and studying sociology, and then I got into taking a biology course, and I loved it. I just loved understanding the interconnections, within us at the cellular level, just how everything's so tied together, and it just led me from one thing to the next, and it's a continuing fascination, just learning how the world works.
Well, and as our viewers don't know, I think I ended my biology career in 5th grade when I had to dissect a frog, and that's as far as I got. So I just have such a great respect for what you have done and what you're doing. But tell us about starting Walking Mountains, because it used to be the Gore Range Science Center, and as a woman back then, I'm sure it was an interesting time to start something so wonderful in the community. Tell us a little bit about that and your leadership at that part of your career.
Sure, yeah. I had gone to the Teton Science Schools to get my master's. That's up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So after I was up there for 2 years, I came back here and started Gore Range Natural Science School, and referred to the Keystone Science Center, Keystone Science School, and the Teton Science School as really assets in their communities, educating people. And so that's why I called it a science school, because it was a nice name that people could really latch on to and understand that it was educational in purpose. And started working with the school district, the Forest Service, and forging partnerships and collaborations, knowing that we couldn't do it on our own, but we wanted to develop curriculum for other agencies to help them really flourish and connect kids with the natural world.
Wow, and so that was in, you said, was it 98?
Yeah, 98 was when our first program started.
And here, I mean, and you probably went from one employee to now, what is the staff at Walking Mountain now?
I think there's about 45 year-round full-time.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did to prepare is I did watch your TEDx Vail Women talk, which was about walking like the mountains. You had referenced Heraclitus, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Nothing endures except change. Tell us a little bit about how that is really a basis for who you are too, because as I just have watched what you've accomplished, you are about embracing change and helping others embrace it as well.
Yeah, that's right. I love that quote, and it really is goes back to that science connection, understanding that things are always changing, constantly. We might not be seeing it, but at some level, things are always changing. And the best that we can do as humans and caring for different things is help to shape that change moving into the future, and trying to do the best we can to step into those waters and be dynamic and ride the change and create the change. And I think my role in developing education programs in the community is part of that, just trying to help people understand that they're part of something larger and, help them find a way to have a voice and a sense of purpose within it.
Well, and as I learned from your TEDx talk, you are a very focused individual, and you also talked about 5 values as it relates to what it is that you do and how you guide yourself. And they're very clear. Would you share that with our viewers as well?
Yeah, I think the first one is collaboration, just realizing that we can't get anything done on our own. We need to work with other individuals or other organizations. And find the common vision. And then leadership, just stepping in, doing what needs to be done, and finding the courage to do so. Ecology, understanding those ecosystems and how we are inherently a part of nature and not separate from nature. Accountability.
I love this one.
Accountability, yeah. And really following through on what we say we're going to be doing, and not and looking out for those places where people might say they're going to do something just for some short-term gain and then blow it off later. Just making sure that we're in it for the long term. And then resilience.
Resilience, yeah.
Yeah, just having the ability to take care of oneself and bounce back in the face of adversity, because that root word resile means to bounce back. And so, yeah, whatever we're faced with, just finding it within ourselves, within our communities, to be able to continue to step up.
And before we take a quick station break, is there anything you'd like to share with our viewers that they don't know about you? Is there any one fun fact about Kim?
Well, let's see. When I was growing up in Vail, there was not a lot of activities that were organized. So we did a lot of things on our own as kids. And one of them was skating outdoors. You know, there were a lot of ponds and skating. So one of the things I continue to love is outdoor lake skating. You know,
that's great.
Yeah, drive afar to find those, pristine lakes in November.
Did you play hockey?
No, more of a figure skater.
Okay.
You know, although the women's hockey team would put me in there when needed. So either one.
Well, Kim, thank you. We're going to take a short station break, and I'm going to ask you all to please stay tuned to Good Day Vail, as we will be right back with Kim Langmaid, who's actually going to talk a little bit more about her current role as the mayor of the town of Vail. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Hi, I'm Cece Zach, and welcome back to this edition of Good Day Vail. Again, I am so excited to have Kim Langmaid with us today, who is the town of Vail's mayor. And as we left off, we were talking about your professional life. And so I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk about your current role. Tell us a little bit about when you became inspired to seek out the highest role in the town of Vail.
Well, it's not something I really premeditated all that much. It was about 8 years ago, and in the early days, my grandfather was on the very first town council and helped put the structure in place to have a municipality. And he volunteered for the fire department. I just was part of observing that growing up as a little girl, but I never thought I'd do it myself. And then about 8 to 9 years ago, there was a shift in the council, and some of the council members who were term limited encouraged me to step up and get involved. So that's when I made the decision, what the heck, just go for it. Yeah.
And so how long have you been on the council for in total?
This is my 8th year, so this is my last year. I'll be done in November, term limited.
Oh, I'm sure everyone's sad to hear about that. So in this role, what are some of the things that you're most proud of, accomplishments to date that you're most proud of?
Well, it's been an interesting 8 years for sure. I think with the pause for COVID right in the middle of it, just getting through that and maintaining a great sense of community and helping people out, that was a big part of it. Different collaborations, creating more housing, that's been a big push from the very beginning, and finally we're starting to see the fruits of our labor with some big new projects coming to life and coming on board this coming summer. So I think those are the big things. Giving a voice to wildlife and helping people understand the importance of their habitat for the long term.
One of the things that I found fascinating that has happened under your tenure as the town council is that the mountain has been certified in a mountain certification. Can you, I'm not doing the terminology justice, can you explain a little bit about the certification, what it is, your role in it, and then how the Vail Mountain became certified?
Yeah, it all started leading up to the 2015 Alpine Ski Championships, and our environment committee was tasked with creating a legacy program. And an organization called Sustainable Travel International approached us and said, hey, does Vail want to become the first certified sustainable destination in North America? And we said, what does that mean? We didn't really know what that meant, and so the term.
But having you on the council was phenomenal too because of your background. I'm sure many mountain towns don't have the luxury of having someone as educated as you are as it relates to sustainability and climate change and everything else that went into this. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it just.
No, that may be. That may be. I think a lot more people who have that kind of vision and education are stepping up. I hope they are in different mountain communities. But yeah, we had a mission to train and certify 100 businesses in the Actively Green Sustainable Business Program. So that was the beginning of it, getting employees and businesses to be part of it.
100 local businesses.
Yes.
Just in the town of Vail. Wow.
Yeah, well, in the valley.
In the valley, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then we moved forward with the actual destination certification, which includes the town of Vail, Vail Mountain, and surrounding Forest Service lands, so the watershed, Gore Creek watershed there. And we have 52 different criteria with different indicators that we had to meet, and then we're certified by a third-party auditor who came from Canada to look through all of these things. And we earned the certification in December of 2017, and it's called the Mountain Ideal. And it's recognized by the Global Sustainable Tourism Council. So it's a global framework, and there are not many destinations around the world that have done this. So it is a big deal that Vail was the first to do it in the United States.
And since then, are there any others in the United States that have been certified?
Yes, Breckenridge earned it a couple
Okay.
years ago. Jackson Hole has been working on it, and there's others around Colorado and beyond, Utah, California that are currently working on it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I need to look into it more. I find all of those certification and the metrics around it and the work that goes into it, because you said 100 businesses, not to mention you would have to work with Vail Resorts being the leading employer on Vail Mountain. So tremendous, tremendous accomplishment. So shifting gears, what is your aspiration for the town of Vail? You're a third-generation resident. Family's been here for a long time. I'm sure you want families to be here for a long time coming up. What is your aspiration for the town of Vail?
I think it's really to sustain and invigorate that sense of community and connection. You know, the local livelihood here and being able to enjoy the mountain lifestyle and have that quality of life that many of the locals provide for the visitors.
And how does that happen? Well, I guess the first question I should ask is, what is the percentage of tourists versus full-time residents? And maybe that's not an appropriate metric, but is there a way for our viewers to understand that mix?
Well, for Vail itself, the town of Vail, there are about 5,500 residents. These are voting residents, and there are about 2.5 million visitors annually. So you can see that there's a lot more visitors than there are residents. And of course, a lot of the people who work in Vail don't live in Vail. They live in Gypsum or Eagle or Edwards and come into Vail. So I think it's really recognizing that we have this base community here that's committed to being here, loves the quality of life, makes many sacrifices in order to be here and have that quality of life. But we want to make sure that they have an ability to experience all the great things we're offering our guests. So we need to make sure we have great housing, much more local housing, good transportation that is affordable, easy to get to work, excellent childcare services. And right now, we're just not meeting the mark on all of those. So I think collaborating regionally up and down the valley, it's happening. It's just taking a while to find the places and put the resources there that are needed. But we're getting there. We're making progress.
Well, I think you're making great progress. As I've been following in the paper, as well as just attending the most recent annual town community meeting, I have been very keenly involved about the strategic emphasis you have on the Vail Stewardship roadmap, which I found extraordinary. So how about sharing with us what the vision is? You talked about the aspiration, but I know that at the meeting there was a vision statement.
Yeah. Well, this has been a year and a half long effort to really engage the community and think deeply about sustainable tourism and destination stewardship and how we can envision a destination in the future that really supports what we call community positive tourism, so that the tourism that does come really gives back to the community. And a number of things really came up there. Continuing our emphasis on deed-restricted housing and doubling the number that we have now. And supporting local entrepreneurs and businesses that really share the flavor of Vail, whether it's a small restaurant or some other kind of business that can get started in Vail, because it's an expensive place to start a business. Protecting our local wildlife and making sure that we have wildlife corridors that go across I-70.
Yeah.
You know, that's a difficult thing to do. But a lot of things to really sustain and maintain and invigorate the Vail that has been here from the beginning, that pioneering spirit that is deeply connected with the natural world.
And I know there'll be a lot more information coming out from the council, but as I recall from going to the community meeting, there you do have five separate goals. One is to make Vail more livable. You had just mentioned about the housing and the child support and care. Enhancing the world-class experience of Vail, invigorating, you mentioned the word, the Vail spirit, which is wonderful, advancing the Vail stewardship as a global model, which goes back to the mountain certification we talked about, and energize the brand, the Vail brand that we have. So I can't wait to see what you're doing, and I know it's part of a big 10-year plan that you're going to unveil at some point. And I just, it's amazing to me that you had the foresight to be able to aspire to the future and not just deal with COVID and just let it be. So congratulations to you all. And I guess if, in the spirit of closing out the session, is there anything that you would like to share with our viewers about how to become engaged within the community and with this roadmap?
Yeah, I would just encourage people to get involved, whether they're right in Vail or in any community. We have these, amazing communities that are microcosms where you really can make a difference with your voice and your sense of purpose. And so it's a place where you can create change. It's small enough. We have the resources here. So I encourage people to step up and start attending their town council meetings or getting involved in organizations. There's just so many things that you can do.
Yeah, and Kim, thank you so much for that, because as I was preparing and learning about you, I actually watched 3 town council meetings. And so for all of our viewers, it's available online as well. So if you can't attend in person, please, view them and speak up and have your voice be heard. So with that, you're a tremendous role model for everyone in the Valley. It was so great to meet you and have you join us. And that's it for this episode of Good Day Vail. Again, big thanks to Kim Langmaid, and we will see you soon. This is Cece Zach with Good Day Vail. Cheers.
On your way, the fun is waiting outside your